Welcome, everyone. I'm Moshe Kadoshim, and I'm very happy today to have our guest, Mr. Doc Andrew. Yes, you're not imagining. He is actually Mr. Doc Andrew, the bestseller of not 11, but 12 books. And the most recent is the Laser Fund. If you haven't had a chance to get a copy, I highly recommend you do. He has been recently interviewed at NASDAQ, and he's been speaking about tax strategies. He's a financial specialist and a retirement specialist for over 5 decades. So definitely an authority in America, and he can definitely share a wealth of information. Now, Mr. Andrew, it's great to have you. Appreciate your time.
It's a delight to be chatting with you here, Moshe.
Thank you so much, sir. At your interview at NASDAQ, if I may ask, you were speaking about a tax trap that 401ks, mutual funds, and other vehicles like IRAs represent. Now, most of Americans are using them, and they have been using them for decades.
Yeah.
Why do you say that you've never owned one and never will? And how does the Laser Fund actually it would be a better option?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you. Yeah. And I mean it. I've never owned an IRA or 401k, and I never will. I'll explain why. But sometimes people learn about my favorite financial instrument, which is a property structured, max funded IUL, Index Universal Life. I would say that over 99% of IULs in America are not structured correctly and funded properly to do what I talk about in this book. Mm-hmm. If it is, it's called a laser fund. Laser is an acronym that stands for liquid asset safely earning returns, okay? These are the key elements of a prudent investment. So sometimes people say, oh, so you like this laser fund because it accumulates your money tax-free. Yep. And you can access it tax-free. Yep. Well, so what about a Roth? And I go, well, Roths were passed in 1997 when the government was hard up for tax revenue. And so they actually realized that smart Americans, following the herd, putting money in traditional IRAs or 401ks, being told, just defer, put off, procrastinate paying tax to some future perceived unknown advantage. And you actually ask most Americans, do you think that taxes in the future will likely be lower or higher? And they don't think they're going to be lower. They're going to be higher. I go, well, then why are you continuing to defer and postpone to some future perceived unknown advantage and then withdraw your money after it's worth this much when taxes are going to be higher? So that statement that you'll likely be in a lower tax bracket has not been true or axiomatic now for decades. Okay. So I saw that writing on the wall years ago. Because of irresponsible government spending, the printing of money, taxes aren't going down. And so that's why I've never owned one. I never will. Okay. But I've never owned a Roth IRA or 401k because, Roths are nice. They accumulate your money tax-free. You fund it with after-tax dollars, but you do that with a laser fund. It accumulates tax-free. You can access your money tax-free. But I've had those two advantages for over a century, even though I haven't lived that long. They've been around in the Internal Revenue Code for over 100 years. But a property structured laser fund actually has 4 additional benefits that Roths will never have. So why would I mess around with a Roth? Mm-hmm. Because in a nutshell, laser funds accumulate your money tax-free. You can access it tax-free, but I can design a laser fund to accommodate $30,000 a year, $300,000 a year if I'm a business owner. You can't do that with a Roth. In fact, if you make too much money, you can't even own a Roth. That's why savvy CPAs and tax attorneys that we train call a property structured IUL, a laser fund, the rich person's Roth. You don't have to be rich to have one. Right. Moshe could help you set one up for $500 a month. Okay. And so they're very flexible, but you don't have to put in a certain amount. But let's say you put in $300,000 as a business owner, and a few months later, you see an opportunity or you have an emergency, you need $200,000. You can access that out of a laser fund. You can't touch the money in a Roth for 5 years or till you're 59 and a half. There's all these strings attached because it's a qualified plan with who? The government. Okay. But you don't have indexing. Mm-hmm. Okay. Most Roths are in the market. Wall Street was not designed to create predictable income. And so you can participate when the economy is doing well by using indexing, Index Universal Life, but you don't lose when the market goes down. If you have your money in a traditional Roth in the market, you will lose when the market goes down. The last benefit is Roths don't blossom when you die.
Mhm.
Now, if I died tomorrow in an accident, I'm 72. And so every million I might have in a portfolio of laser funds would blossom to possibly 2 million and transfer tax-free to my spouse, my kids, my grandkids, my church, whoever I leave it behind to. There's not a Roth around that'll do that. And people say, well, how much does that cost? Well, nothing's free, but it doesn't cost me anything. Moshe can show you how to have that being paid for with a minuscule portion of money that would otherwise go out the window in unnecessary tax if you keep following the herd and putting money in IRAs or 401ks. So that's my answer. I will never own a Roth. Why would I mess around with a Roth with all those little strings attached when I don't have to deal with those? So thanks for that question.
Yeah. No, thank you. In fact, you brought in a good subject, and that's volatility. Obviously, over time, we've seen during the Great Depression between 1999 and 2012, like you have taught me, that period of time was called the Great Recession because twice the market went under and people lost a ton of money and time, which then later wasn't able to be made up based on inflation and other factors.
Yes.
So, we know terrorist attacks create instability, attempted assassinations. We've seen a real estate meltdown. We've seen a car industry rescue, and all of that affects the economy. Now, it's not a matter of if, but when the next meltdown would happen. Now, how can people protect themselves and their assets from losing them like it happened in the past? And it will inevitably happen again. But if someone is about to retire and they're like, they have accumulated a nest egg of $1 million, how can they not face what history has taught us will happen again?
Yeah, this is a great question, Moshe. So this is the third danger, taxes, inflation, but this market volatility. And it's not going to end, okay? And so when we have this uneasiness, these external forces out there we have no control over, you've got to protect yourself, especially during your golden years. So this is why we use indexed universal life. Now, a lot of people think I'm talking about an index mutual fund. No, you would have lost 40% twice, 2001 to 2003 and 2008. And from 2000 to 2012, you'd have lost 40% twice if you had your money in an index mutual fund. Indexing is a strategy. So how does it work? I'm going to simplify this. When you accumulate money inside of a property structured IUL, a laser fund, that will accumulate and grow tax-free and during the up years. Now, ever since the Great Depression, if you look at any 10-year period, there's generally about 7 up years compared to 3 down years, okay? Now, Cresmont did a study. They're a research company of 50 years of stock market history. And you know what they found? Mm-hmm. If you simply eliminated the lost years, the 30% of years you lose money, you didn't make anything. Okay. You just got zero. Okay. If you eliminated those years, you'd only need to capture 25%, 1/4 of the up years to outperform the actual market.
Wow.
And when I saw that, I thought, this is incredible. Well, indexing allows you to do even more than 25%. So here's how it works. Let's take a snapshot in time and you can extrapolate, meaning you can, if you only have, at the end of the day for your retirement, $100,000, you take 1/10 of this example. If you end up with twice as much, you take double this example. I'm just going to say you accumulate $1 million in an IUL, okay, by 65. You could have done that by socking away $500 a month in one of these from age 30, 35 to age 65. But let's take a snapshot in time. You're retiring and you have $1 million in an IUL. And if you feel bearish about America, you think, oh, this year we're headed for another recession or whatever, you can just play it safe. And you just leave the $1 million in the insurance company earning what is called the general account portfolio rate, which they earn with very safe investments like AA and AAA bonds and mortgages on skyscrapers and shopping malls. But they only loan like 60% on the dollar. They don't loan 85% from on a building, so that if they have to foreclose, they come out smelling like a rose. Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's say the general account portfolio rate is 4 or 5%. 5% is easy here. That's 50,000 you could earn that year on $1 million. You can do that anytime you want. Okay. And it's tax free. And that's usually way better than what banks and credit unions are paying. Mm-hmm. But 70% of the time, the market's probably going to be going up. And so if you feel bullish about America, you can choose to link some or all of that million to an index, or actually indices. You help people diversify of their choice. Let's keep it simple. You link to the S&P 500. So in 2001 to 2012, money in the S&P, you would have lost 40% twice, and your million would barely be back to a little over $1 million in 2012. With indexing, okay, in 2001 to 2003, our clients didn't lose a dime. They may not have made much of anything, but actually we contacted them and said, people are rubbernecking on the economic freeway. Move over and just earn the 5% from 2002 to, and then when the market started back up again, we go link. And so they actually, in that, from 2000 to 2010, there were 5 down years. They didn't have 0 5 years. They only had 0 2 years. When you meet with someone like Moshe, because you have annual reviews, that's called rebalancing. And that's why our average rate of return moves up to 11%, even in the Great Recession. But if you just sat there and you didn't make anything, but you didn't lose 5 of the 10 years, the other 5 years, you got to participate. And here's how it works. You simply tell the insurance company, don't put my $1 million in this example at risk. Take the interest, this general account, take that 5% interest, that 50,000. I'm willing to give up the interest on my money this year so that you, the insurance company, can buy upside options, which is complicated, but they do this every day. And so you're giving up the 50,000. The insurance company simply uses that 50,000 to buy upside options. So if the S&P goes up 8, they'll pay you 80,000 on your million. If it goes up 12, they'll pay you 120,000. It's tax free. But if the market crashes, you simply relinquish the interest. You still have your million. This almost sounds too good to be true when I explain this to people. And so that's how in 2008, our clients were cheering, go, because they weren't losing a dime. The first 90 days of 2009, most of our clients locked in gains of 16% after not losing a penny. March of 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic, market dropped 32%. Our clients didn't lose a dime. In fact, when there's anxiety, there's opportunity. We told many of them to link to a unique strategy in that next year, and many of them locked in substantial gains. That's why my hat's off to people like Moshe, because he can show you how to do this, how to make yourself immune from market volatility so that you can sleep at night. Because Wall Street was not designed to give you predictable income during your golden years.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Mr. Andrew. Now, I know you mentioned in your book, The Laser Fund, and there's some graphics that talk about that example, which I recommend when you get a copy, you should go over that. And then you also mentioned how there were some times in life when there were some crashes and you were feeling great with yourself because your clients were not at risk in the market. So that's great. Now, another question that we've gotten from many of our followers is CPAs, financial planners, and the kind, they normally advise their clients not to mix life insurance with investments. And obviously, life insurance is not an investment. It shouldn't be treated as an investment. However, it outperforms regular investment. Now, how can that happen? How do you reconcile that? Because I know you've been criticized by many figures out there, including even Dave Ramsey. Unfortunately, some people don't know what they don't know, like you say.
Yeah.
But could you please clarify that? How can an insurance policy that is max funded and properly structured can actually work out even better than those vehicles that most people are familiar with?
Yes, thank you for that. It's amazing to me how many financial advisors that sometimes, and they simply don't know what they don't know because you can't be aware of something you're not aware of. And so they sometimes blindly just follow the herd and they throw rocks at this kind of a strategy. And I've always had arrows flung at me my whole career. You can always tell the pioneers because they're the ones with the arrows in their back. That doesn't bother me because when they usually take the time to get informed, they go, oh my heavens. Yeah, I didn't know what I didn't know. Now, here's what they usually don't know. See, when Universal Life and then Index Universal Life came out. The whole purpose, the brainchild behind it, clear back in 1980, was E.F. Hutton. They were a brokerage firm. It's to take the least amount of insurance you can get away with in the Internal Revenue Code tax citations and put in the most money that you want to reposition as the IRS allows, as fast as they allow. Now, this has to comply with 3 tax citations, TEFRA, DEFRA, and TAMRA. Those are acronyms that Moshe can explain to you. You can read about in my book. He knows and understands this better. In fact, if you were to ask a Dave Ramsey or any of those types of people, they would probably have a deer in the headlight look when you talk about TEFRA, DEFRA, and TAMRA and all this. And so when you structure it, you're able to earn an internal rate of return. A lot of these advisors don't even know what I mean when I say IRR, internal rate of return. That means that if they're showing you a certain rate of return and they're saying, oh, we're averaging you 8%, well, what's the net internal rate of return, cash on cash, to end up with this much money based upon what you set aside after everything is taken into consideration? And many times they say, Dalbar says that the average person, if they'll buy and hold, will earn 9%, okay, in the market. Well, $1 million ought to generate $90,000 a year of income without depleting your million, right? Mm-hmm. Well, you pull out $90,000 in a tax-deferred IRA or 401k, you're only going to net maybe $60,000 to buy gas and groceries because you got to pay the tax. And then a lot of those asset managers on $1 million portfolio are going to charge you 1%. So that's another 1 percentage point. So you have to earn not, you're only going to net, 5. Well, with a max funded IUL, I only have to earn 9 to net 8. What they're grossing, I'm netting. Mm-hmm. But when I rebalance and take advantage, when you really understand, like you've taken the time to learn, I can earn 11 and net 10. So let me ask you this. On $1 million nest egg, you'll accumulate that nest egg much safer and quicker and better, tax-free with an IUL. But if that $1 million can generate $100,000 a year of tax-free income and never deplete principal, and you take out that same $100,000 out of an IRA or 401k, you're only going to net maybe $50,000 or $60,000 to buy gas and groceries. Mm-hmm. Well, if you need $100,000 and a 33% combined federal and state tax bracket, you have to pull out 50% more money. You can't believe how many advisors don't understand that. You have to pull out $150,000, pay tax of a third, 50 to net 100. An IRA or 401k, even if it was earning 10%, will be drained dry out of money in 11 years at age 76. The laser fund can keep going on until, the average baby boomer couple, one of you makes it to age 96, you'll still have your million. And you've had another 20 years of $100,000 of tax-free income. That's $2 million. Plus you still have your million. That's a $3 million better retirement strategy than the same amount of money in an IRA or 401k at the same rate of return. But most IRAs and 401ks don't earn 10%. Okay. That's why the financial services industry says only take out 4% a year. Yeah. That's ridiculous. That's unacceptable to us. Yeah. Why would you take out $40,000 a year out of $1 million nest egg and still have to pay tax on it to net $30,000 when you could have 90 or 100,000 that goes on forever? This is not a little bit better. It's a whole lot better. And unfortunately, there's just a lot of those advisors that don't take the time to learn like Moshe has done. You're in great hands with this man, okay? I love your story.
Appreciate that.
I love your ethics, your values. And we're on the same page when it comes to this. And so what I want all of you to do is take the opportunity to get acquainted with Moshe, his firm, book a time to attend one of his educational events, be at a live seminar. Don't pass up that opportunity. You can join. You can listen and learn, watch and learn. You can read and learn. He'll help you get maybe some of my books, and he has books and material. I've written a foreword for one of them. And so this is not about us. Mm-hmm. This is about you. And so take the opportunity now to engage with one of the top. When I say top, I've trained over 5,000 financial advisors. I'm talking about in the top 30, the top, like fraction of 1%. And so take the opportunity. Don't be like some people that finally got around to coming to me and they could have kicked themselves. Act now sooner than later. Is there anything else that you would like to share or invite your viewers to do?
Well, definitely. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're always busy and you have a lot going on, so that means a lot for us. And so please click on the link below in somewhere in this video, and you will receive also a gifted copy of the IUL Laser Fund. Check it out. You will definitely find tons of information that is so valuable and up to date, which is even more important. If you cannot tell, I feel so proud of calling Mr. Andrew my personal mentor. I feel so blessed to have come into contact with him and then being able to help so many families in America. Obviously, our firm specializes in Spanish market, but then also we can help anyone in the United States. We feel very happy and very honored to have had him. Thank you so much, Mr. Andrew, and looking forward to having you again.
Thank you. It's been an honor and delight. You're in great hands with Moshe.
Thank you.